was going to do one of these last year, and then didn't. So in this video essay, I'm going to list all the movies I saw in 2024. Depending on how busy and stressed I am, maybe this video will be timely, maybe it will not. This will include the movies I've seen all the way through for the first time in 2024, whether they came out that year or not. And I didn't include any of the documentaries I watched, because that just made the whole thing messy. I also won't go into detail about every single movie, just the ones worth mentioning. Start with the bottom, work my way up. Oh, and maybe you should subscribe, because, well, I post sometimes. Yay!
Son, I hate it.
The movie I hated the most this year was Wish. Surprise, surprise! I watched it for my Disney Princess video, only to find out that Asha was not actually a Disney princess, and I just wasted 2 nights of my fiancé's and my time, because of course we didn't finish it all in one sitting. Okay, I was still able to use the experience watching it to enhance the video, so wasted might be a bit of an exaggeration, but still. Wish is a movie I just didn't really feel good watching. I mean, if you personally liked it, then good for you, but everything about it, the world, the characters, the outcome, just felt kind of icky. People are saying Magnifico was in the right and Asha was all wrong. That's not really true. It's just that the rules of this world make this a giant no-win situation for everyone involved. If you're going to take the wishes, then you have to pick and choose for the good of the kingdom, but it's just so much better to not take the wishes in the first place, you know? Granting them all isn't going to solve anyone's problems, and neither is keeping a bunch of wishes hostage in a cold, dark castle. But if no wishes were ever taken, then you wouldn't have a movie. Now, I also hated the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and Before You Burn Me at the Stake. This is a movie I'll put in a category called I Just Personally Didn't Like It. I recognize that it is a good movie with charming animation and a story a lot of people really love. It's just that I didn't personally vibe with it. There's just something about it all that felt creepy to me. The places they take SpongeBob's character, the journey of the story, it felt off-putting to me as a SpongeBob fan. But maybe that's because I didn't see it when it came out and am more used to his modern iteration. I'm willing to give this movie the benefit of the doubt, but personally, I hated it.
I did not agree to this.
Do better. Try harder.
Young Frankenstein was not quite my cup of tea either. Maybe it's because I didn't see the original Frankenstein that it just didn't seem all that funny to me. I laughed, yes. A lot of it was laughing because my dad was laughing, but it was funny at times. I really didn't feel comfortable the way they made the fiancé become Frankenstein's bride either. Different times, I guess. The Dark Knight is another one of the I just personally didn't like it category editions. The filmmaking was brilliant, but it was so dang dark. Way too dark for me. I also hated the Batman voice. I guess by looking at my negative review categories, you're starting to get an idea of what types of movies might end up being closer to the top. Transformers 1 was fine. It was boring, but it was fine. The pacing was a mess, but it was fine. It had a really cool fight scene at the end, but it didn't make it any less fine. So you want to know why it's so low on this list? Because everyone on YouTube was singing this movie's praises from the rooftops. Now, maybe I should have watched these videos instead of just seeing all the positive thumbnails, because I skipped out on seeing this movie in theaters because it looked boring to me. But my fiancé and I have Paramount Plus, so when it came to streaming, I thought we should give it a go. When has the internet ever been wrong? So you see, it's not really this movie's fault that I dislike it so much. I let the internet talk me into watching a movie that I would have otherwise skipped, and that's my own fault. I don't even like Transformers! This movie was made for everyone but me. Now, I liked the first half of Beetlejuice quite a bit. I thought the second half was a bit much, but I came around on the ending when I tuned into the movie again while scrolling channels one October night. Beetlejuice, however, is a movie that I put in a category called I liked it better the second time, but I didn't want to move it. I left the theater with my fiancé saying that it was absolutely terrible and we wasted our time. But I watched it again with my dad and, it's not that bad. Fair warning, I think they push the boundaries a little too far on what a PG-13 movie should be from time to time, but this movie has its charm that I only saw the second time. Okay. I watched TMNT Mutant Mayhem on an airplane. Well, technically my downloaded copy stopped working a third of the way through, so I had to split it up between the going and returning flights. And the fact that I watched it while in the sky doesn't really change anything about what I thought of it. I just like to bring these things up. TMNT Mutant Mayhem was not made for me. It just wasn't. It was cute, the turtles looked pretty cool, and I appreciated the fact that it sounds like they got actual teenagers to voice the characters, but it wasn't made for me. It was made for Gen Alpha. I like the Sonic movies a lot because the pop culture references speak to me. I get them. This movie I only get looking in from the outside because it's all Gen Alpha pop culture references. And you know what? That's fine. The kiddos can have this one. Casablanca goes in the personal opinion category. I can see how its filmmaking and characters are unique, but for the life of me, I could not keep up well with the plot or like the characters no matter how hard I tried. By the last third of the movie, maybe I could say that I was finally getting it and liked the main character a little better, but that's kind of late to become invested. Maybe the TV was too soft, or maybe the unique, clever pacing was a little too unique. Descendants Rise of Red was okay. Morals are a little iffy, as they are in all the Descendants movies, and it has a jump in the pacing at the end that's more jarring than the pacing jump in Equestria Girls' friendship games, but it wasn't unenjoyable by any means. It's your typical modern Disney fare. I must have listened to Life is Sweeter like 6 times over the day I finished the movie. Princess Mononoke was also fine. A bit gorier than I expected, but it wasn't bad by any means. I just didn't really vibe with it as much as I thought I would. Oh well.
It's salty, but sweet.
The African Queen was a movie I was surprised by. I liked it more than I thought I would. Character arc pacing can be a little jarring, but it was a sweet movie nonetheless. A harmless little kill 90 minutes or so watch. Migration was another one that surprised me. I was going to see it in theaters until the trailer with them in the city soured the whole idea for me. I was hoping for a nature-inspired film, and they were promising me a basic Illumination wacky shenanigans adventure. I hopped off the train. But then it played in the $1 Summer Movie Express promotion my theater does, and I go to see a lot of those with some friends of the family, so I just decided why not. It was more fun than I was thinking it was going to be. I just wish they hadn't gone with the mom duck is always right and dad duck is always wrong, except when he agrees with the mom duck shtick. It's a little old. Back to the Future was aight. A little weird with the whole mom in the past subplot, but still a fun movie. Dungeons and Dragons was so funny, and the ending was so climactic. It almost makes up for the frustrating story. Fast and Furious 5 is my fiancé's favorite movie, and I told him I'd watch it with him for his birthday. No, I haven't seen any other Fast and Furious movies. I thought it was neat. A bit hard to keep up with as I had no idea what was going on, but car stunts are cool, and I like the girl that was pregnant the best. Wicked was another movie the internet's hype convinced me to see, and you know what? This time, it was a good thing. Yes, the actors got themselves in so much bizarre drama that this movie kind of deserved to fail, but at the same time, it really didn't, as they did a phenomenal job. Everyone did. I wasn't a fan of Ariana Grande's take on Popular, but I loved all the dance numbers, and the characters were actually fun to watch. Unfortunately, no one in my theater sang. Well, except for me, but no one could hear me, so it doesn't count. But choosing this movie over Moana 2 turned out to be the right decision. Minions Rise of Gru. Who'd have thought this movie would be so high up? This was another $1 movie event I saw. Now, I wouldn't have picked it, but I'm glad I went along with the idea, because this movie is cuter than it ever deserved to be. Now, To Kill a Mockingbird is a product of its time, mind you, but it's actually really deep and a compelling watch. It has a lot to say about following what you know is right and standing up for someone you know is innocent when the whole world seems determined to make their life a living nightmare. On the lighter side of things, we have Big City Greens' Spacecation. Now, for the most part, Big City Greens is a surprisingly wholesome and enjoyable show. This movie shares these traits. The argument between Bill and Cricket in the climax is nothing short of incredible with its themes, and the music is surprisingly solid. Now, Coco is a wonderful movie. It's beautiful, heartfelt, the characters are fun. But I wouldn't call it life-changing or anything. Maybe this is just another movie I don't quite get the way others do, because there are some that will swear by this movie, and then there are some that say it's hot garbage. I just think it's really good, no cap. And last but not least, quite the opposite really, is at the top of my liked list, is Les Mis. I had bronchitis and was on the couch, and Mom wanted to watch Les Mis. Okay, I said, and for the next 3.5 hours, there was almost nothing but singing, which was annoying at first, but I grew to love it. One thing I found really cool is that it's like 3 smaller stories in an overarching timeline. They all feel different, but they still flow very nicely. The pacing is superb, and the acting is phenomenal. I thought Corset's marriage to that one guy was kinda dumb. Didn't like him very much as a person. What can I say except that this movie is a piece of art?
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it!
Okay, hear me out. The Marvels definitely goes into that personal opinion category. It's a horribly made movie with blatant pacing failures, bad fight choreography, and laughable CGI, but does no one else think this movie was hilarious? I'm being serious. I laughed through the whole thing. I think it's so bad it's good in a way, and Kamala Khan is always a joy to watch. Mr. Malcolm's List is another fun one. The third act climactic breakup is clumsily done, but this movie was still a joy to watch. The acting was very well done, the location was beautiful, the story was enjoyable to see unfold. A good choice if you're feeling like something Victorian and romantic, but you've watched the Jane Austen stories and Jane Eyre one too many times and want something new. Missing's cinematography choices were nothing short of incredible. The whole story is told through the main character's laptop, her video calls, her social media, Ring security cameras. There isn't a single normal camera shot the whole time, and it's so inventive. It's a mystery story, a genre I'm not quite used to watching, so my analysis on it may be a bit flawed, but I quite enjoyed it. It went a little off the rails at the end, but it was still a well-done mystery that keeps throwing you curveballs and handling the clues quite nicely. The Fall Guy is another genre I don't watch a lot. Action just for the sake of it. But this movie absolutely rocks. The plot is compelling enough to amplify the action moments, and I absolutely felt that rush of justice when everything ended with a neat little bow. This movie was kind of deemed a box office skip, and that's really sad because it was so much fun. The Three Musketeers was adorable. It is such a wonderful movie that I adore with all my heart. Queen Minnie is by far the best character, and it even got its own Kingdom Hearts world, and that is an exciting legacy indeed. I have also finally seen the cult classic Treasure Planet. Amazing film. Now, I personally didn't quite feel the villain's redemption at the end, but everything was so unique and fun and well written. Sonic 3 was one of the most incredible movie experiences I've ever been to. Those audience reactions at the ending. Day one movie viewings are the best. Almost everything was perfect. The action, the voice acting, I even found myself laughing at the Robotnik antics, which were not a highlight by any means all the way back in the first movie. This movie was a delight, and I hope they make the fourth one as fast as they possibly can while treating the cast and crew fairly and respectfully. It's kind of funny to observe Keanu Reeves getting the hang of voice acting throughout the movie, as some lines sound more professionally done than others, but I still have to give credit where credit is due. He was fantastic. Ben Schwartz as well, probably one of the best performances I've heard from him yet. Now, I enjoyed the wedding sidetrack subplot in the second, but it's also really cool to see Tom and Maddie incorporated into the story again. The pacing was a bit rapid at first, but when it really got into the midpoint, things slowed down to the right pace again. The only reason this isn't higher is because my top 3 movies exist. Okay, y'all, ready for the top 3? Let's get into it! You can probably guess what one of them is going to be, seeing as I haven't mentioned it yet. Maybe even 2 of them now that I think about it, but I guarantee you one of them will be a surprise. Now, this was close to becoming the number 2 movie. Blame personal relatability for its failure to overtake it, which probably gives you even more of a clue of what number 2 is. What am I talking about? I'm supposed to be talking about The Wild Robot. The Wild Robot was beautiful in the true meaning of the word. It was about as well written as you can get, and the voice acting wasn't a big turnoff like the trailers made it seem. I know, that's hard to do, talking animals not a turnoff, but The Wild Robot did it. This is exactly what I want from a modern movie, and my explanation on why is to simply watch it and see it for yourself.
This is Joy, coming to you live in Riley's mind. Make some noise! Sadness is in the house!
Yeah, y'all probably saw this coming. Inside Out 2 being in the top 3. Shocker. I went in expecting it to be kinda bad, or at most mid. I was not expecting the most relatable showcase of what anxiety feels like that even people who don't suffer from it will totally get. Let's just think about this for a second. We need movies like this. Anxiety is complex and misunderstood and an absolute beast. Explaining it in a family movie is no easy task. From Riley rambling uncontrollably around Val, to Riley obsessing over how her arms are moving when she's walking behind everyone else, to her putting the entire weight of the next 4 years of her life on the final hockey match and getting a nasty panic attack as a result. Anxiety doesn't make a lick of sense. You just feel it. It's not subtle. It's not a nag at the back of your brain. It's not just being worried or shy. It's loud. It's obsessive. It changes your behavior. It's real. And never has it felt more real in any piece of media I've ever seen than it feels in Inside Out 2. That's truly something. Suzume was an early addition to the list, so the fact that it has managed to cling to the number 1 spot is remarkable. Suzume, as a movie, is remarkable. The movie is around 3 hours long, and yet it doesn't pad the runtime at all. Every single scene in this movie is in the movie because it needs to be there. Every single emotion hits. They even made me feel bad for Daijin, and I hated the little beast the whole time. The animation and music work overtime to pull this movie higher than high, and the Japanese voice acting is spine-chilling. This is a movie I never want to forget. It's a movie that was born in the shadow of your name, but rose above it. It's going to make you cry. It will. And then you'll look back on it and feel good knowing you got to see something truly special. This was my favorite movie this year. So there you have it. The best movies of the year, the worst movies of the year, and everything in between. Was this fun? I hope it was fun. Thank you always, and I'll see you when I see you.